Hello Sorac Spacers. As a huge fan of the nerd for over a decade, and the fact James Rolfe is a personal hero of mine and the reason I'm even making videos, it's a real privilege to review AVGN 1 and 2 Deluxe. Originally released on Steam in 2013 and 2016 respectively, the official Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures and Angry Video Game Nerd 2 Assimilation have been remastered, to quote the man himself, and feature in this newly enhanced Deluxe collection. Adventures was ported to the Wii U and 3DS in 2015, but this is the first time that AVGN 2 has had a console release. Deluxe has just been released for Steam and Nintendo Switch, and it's the Switch version I'll be reviewing today. The collection is brought to us by Freak Zone Games, which consists of one highly talented British developer, Sam Beddoes. For full transparency, I was kindly given a review code by the guys over at Screenwave Media, who are the publishers and current distributors for Cinemassacre, so extra special thanks to them. But you know what's BS? Biased game reviews. So I promise this video is a genuine and honest account of what I think of the games. AVGN Adventures begins with the angry video game nerd getting grabbed by the balls, because where else? Through the television as a parody to Cheetah Men, where he finds himself in Game Land, a world full of his worst video gaming nightmares. In this vibrant 2D 8-bit style platformer, you play as the nerd, armed with his zapper to tear his foes down. Anyone who's had experience with Mega Man will feel right at home, as the gameplay and level select emulates its style, allowing you to beat the game in the order of your choosing. It consists of 9 levels, all humorously titled in classic angry nerd fashion. From the Castlevania inspired stage, you get a real sense of compatibility, as if the nerd truly belongs there, and is one of my favourites. There's also a stage where everyone's smiling and happy, acting as a demonstration of a world in which I've deleted my channel. And I love the character design of the nerd with his trademark frown, and how it perfectly contradicts his surroundings. What's more, there's a Christmassy snow level predictably filled with balls, and Beat It and Eat It, a reference to the disgusting game Beat 'em and Eat 'em, where you're surrounded by the infamous adult-themed Atari characters, which is just downright hilarious. I mean, look at this one just jiggling their butt in your face while you're trying to concentrate. What were they thinking? I'm doing my best to keep this review family friendly here. Well, that dream's dead. You can even unlock extra characters with unique abilities and switch between them in-game, like Mike Matei and Kyle the guitar guy, who emerges from behind the couch and can shoot through walls. However, you'll likely find they largely remain unused. Mike's big jump comes in handy though. Also, there's a section where you're sledding down a mountain of snow on Santa's corpse, indicative of the game's humour, where the level design could have been more user-friendly. It was tough to navigate the obstacles and see what's going on properly to avoid them. A number of the levels have a dark, horror-filled theme to them. What about Top Gun, or Superman 64, or the nerd skating on a roller rocker, zapping his way for an awfully animated CDI game? The good news is, plenty of ideas are left for AVGN 3. Make it happen, guys. Adventures has admirably been built entirely from the ground up, using the second game's superior engine. Just one reason for owners of the original to be taken back to the past and pick up this brand new collection. As joyous as the first game is, Assimilation takes it to a whole new level. In an ever so slight twist to the, let's face it, instantly forgettable story of the first game, a beam comes down from space and zaps the Earth, turning the entire world into an awful video game, and everyone into a typical gaming monster. Except of course our pocket pouch protagonist. You start in a nerd's room, which, as a fan, is super cool to play in. And this time, there are new abilities like wall jumping and sliding. Plus, there's now a world map, reminiscent of Super Mario 3, which enables you to select from its wide variety of stages. 22 to be precise. Awesome. Like Adventures, you can choose which world to enter in order of personal preference, but now they are split into shorter, individual levels within the worlds. Stage 2 being unlocked by beating Stage 1, etc., with an epic boss fight at the end of each. Where Adventures has unlockable characters, Assimilation has upgrades in the form of classic nerd accessories like the Super Scope, Laser Scope and Power Glove, which allows you to punch your way through walls, and a cape to glide across ledges. The lively levels include a Board Games and Monster Madness themed world, an alien-themed Area 52, a neon-filled Godzilla world, a sewer level named Brown Town for reasons I need and want not explain, and finally a Virtual Boy world. This sounds like a great idea in theory, but in practice it lacks substance, other than climbing walls plainly coloured red and black all over. More could have been done with that one in particular, but the others are visually very impressive. A simulation expands on the first instalment by providing gravity bending jumps, travelling through one edge of the screen and out of the other, and portals which you can also shoot through. What they could have done is made AVGN into a bog standard run and gun, but nope, the developers have demonstrably put time, effort and passion into this, and it shines through. Such to the extent that when you're idle, the nerd gives you the finger. This I adore. Collecting beer bottles will gain you life, with each hit taken depleting a bottle, or half a bottle on the easier difficulties. In addition to his NES Zapper, the nerd can acquire weapons and power-ups like F-bombs, the Glitch Gremlin, which momentarily pauses the movement of enemies and contraptions, and even Super Mecha Death Christ makes an appearance, invading your screen and blowing up everything in sight. Vital to a platformer, the controls are responsive, and jumping and running feel precise and just the right height and speed. Although it's challenging to say the least, it doesn't feel like it's the game's fault when you die. Not only can you run and gun, but you can hold the back buttons to aim and shoot on the spot as well. What can be a little frustrating though, is that the aim is not full 360 and locks into a northwest direction or northeast direction, etc. So you'll quickly need to move positions if not aimed on target, and could well get hit yourself. Maybe they could have added an option or power up to hold the button down to keep firing as well, because on the tougher boss fights where button mashing is a must, my thumbs were killing me. Just like the good old days though, I suppose. Throughout your visit to Gameland and beyond, you'll endure a sizable range of obstacles such as spikes, flames, spinning blades, bats, ghosts, sharks and more. Fans of not only AVGN but also more widely of Cinemassacre are in for a real treat, with the appearances of Ball James and parodies, to get round licensing issues no doubt, of Mr. Bucket, Jason, E.T., Skylar from Cybermorph, would be criminal not to include her, Satan and Custer, to name but a few. The colourful 8-bit style graphics look gorgeous, with animated backgrounds that at times are glorious, and they couldn't have encapsulated the nerd's personality and look more accurately. The fundamental aspect above all else for potential players to note is that the games are intentionally difficult to complete. Upon reaching new checkpoints, which manifest as nin toasters, love it. A wave of relief runs through you that retro gamers will especially appreciate. In some segments you'll need patience flowing out of your A-word, but they've got the balance of fun and challenge just right in my opinion. You won't be able to sleep your way through the game like a daydreaming Davy, but I personally never felt too frustrated. The games kept me engaged and repeatedly picking up the controller for another bash. But for some players, they may find themselves performing a few nerd impersonations of their own. The games replicate the difficulty of classic NES games, but if that's not your bag, Deluxe offers new, easier difficulty options so the player can more easily see the games out till the end. Fundamentally, it's not complete BS when you die. Most of the time, it's not ridiculously hard that you'll never finish it, and they have made it a lot easier in this remastered version with infinite lives and design adjustments. The soundtrack is a pleasure to the ears, and certainly doesn't feel like a buffalo has dumped its liquid feces into them. The stomping retro-esque tunes keep you pumped throughout. AVGN Deluxe is self-aware, demonstrating in its dialogue. Just as legend has it, he's got a power glove and a filthy mouth. And they weren't kidding. Virtually every line of speech has outrageous cursing in it, so maybe think twice before gifting this game to sweet little Bimmy. It can't be denied that the target market for Deluxe is overwhelmingly existing fans of the angriest gamer you've ever heard. Nerds, like me, are spoiled with warming throwbacks to classic AVGN episodes. You'll be flying like the Silver Surfer and evading electrified kelp amongst a whole host of other nods to the series. I see you, Polybius. The collection is jam-packed with humour, although more often than not it's in the form of references those unfamiliar with Rolf's ramblings simply won't get. A lot of the gags are visual that expect to be appreciated on face value, such as sightings of the pickle and having to dodge a legendary Big Rigs truck. Thus, if you aren't a fan, a fair chunk of the jokes will fly right over your head. In truth, it's a hard task for me as a viewer for over a decade to accurately judge how someone who's never even watched an episode of AVGN can enjoy Deluxe. If you're not a nerd nut, unavoidably, a considerable amount of enjoyment that surprising inclusions of familiar characters and phrases stems from would be lost, and the games rely on that heavily. Whilst the games are fun and easy to pick up and play now it's found its way on the Switch, you do get the sense you'd have to be a fan to appreciate the vast majority of this collection. However, even without the fan lore, if you're into colourful, in graphics and in language, challenging platform games that don't take themselves too seriously, fun is still to be had with Deluxe. Although, if you despise the unforgiving nature of titles like Cuphead or the sweary works of Rolf, this collection is not for you. However, the levels are addictive, the nerd is a likeable character in his own right within the game, and I think neutrals could still get something from these games, potentially even acting as an enticing gateway into the AVGN universe. The games haven't merely been ported, there have been a number of enhancements and additions to the originals as well. Most notably, there's the enhanced visuals, with improved lighting and graphics, and the fact the first game runs off the second game's engine, as previously mentioned. Secondly, you can now collect the NERD letters present in AVGN 2 in the first game also. And in Adventures, you'll witness a time-travelling nerd from Assimilation. Thoughtful additions indeed. Thirdly, brand new difficulty options are available, which I'm sure will please many players who found the originals a nightmare to complete. Normal and easy modes have infinite lives, and some of the instant death blocks from the original have been substituted for spiky balls that instead only inflict a single hit, meaning players can have a much greater chance to see the games out to the end and experience the game's full potential. But if you crave that old school demanding but rewarding action, there are some crazy hard modes here too. Appropriately named, of course. Respawns are now much faster, whilst the curse-filled death screens would be sadly missed. An option to keep them in would have been nice, by the way. Resuming after death has become seamless. A useful update because, trust me, you will die a lot. There are also a few character changes, such as the Nostalgia Critic being replaced by Fred, and multiple save slots are now available. Furthermore, there are accessibility options this time around, with the likes of photosensitive mode and the option of post-processing effects. The duration per game, if you whiz through the levels, lasts around a couple of hours each, so whilst they're not the longest games in the world, there are the aforementioned incentives for replayability. That said, the Deluxe Edition has an exclusive final chapter named Tower of Torment, unlocked upon completion of the main two games. And, I won't ruin the ending for you now, but it'll be sure to turn that frown upside down. Overall, I love it. I've thoroughly enjoyed both games and I've completed all main missions. However, left remaining are the nerd letters to collect, characters to unlock, time records to beat, difficulty options to fail miserably at, and 100% completion to achieve, so there's plenty to go back and play for. All of the enhancements and extra content truly has made it well worth the wait, so huge congratulations to Freakzone, Screenwave, and everyone involved in making this collection possible, because it's a dream come true for fans like me. They've done an exceptional job all round. If you're a nerdaholic like myself, this is a must, and you'll be far from disappointed with Deluxe's offerings. But even if you aren't familiar with the Cinemassacre universe, there's still a solid, well-crafted and hilarious platformer here, even if recurring deaths make you drop the occasional verbal F-bomb. And for the price, to get these titles in one definitive enhanced collection on the Switch is good value for money. It receives the newly invented Sorax seal of approval and comes highly recommended by me. The AVGN 1 and 2 Deluxe Collection is out now for Steam and Nintendo Switch, with future PlayStation and Xbox releases in the works, so keep your eyes peeled for those. Links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe to Sorax Space? I've got some more AVGN rip-offs coming soon. I've been Sorax, watch this space.